Hi guys, welcome to my channel where I'll be discussing all things books. My name is Patrice and the plan is to talk about and review books that I've read recently. So I have no formal training. I love to read. It's my #1 hobby, my most favorite thing to do. If I could have a dream job, it would be to read books all day. And I thought this channel would be a fun way to give an honest review from a normal, everyday person. And I love seeing all the channels and content that's being created here on BookTube. I've followed a few people, I've subscribed to a few channels, and I've taken some of your book recommendations. It's been nice to see so many people that like to read as much as I do, and I love the personalities that I'm seeing on the screen. Hopefully, as I get more comfortable with the camera, my personality will shine through as well. My favorite books to read are cozy mysteries, but I dabble in a little bit of everything. Most of my books come from the local library because I would just have too many here at the house if I brought everything. And I do prefer physical books over audio books or reading on the Kindle. I'll be using my laptop to keep track of the main points I want to make and to stay organized. Otherwise, I would go on a tangent and who knows where we would end up. If you have a book you'd like me to review, please leave me a comment or check the link in the description. And now, let's get started! The first book I'll be talking about today is The Only Black Girl in the Room by Alex Travis. The main character is Genevieve Francis, a black reporter working at her hometown newspaper. She's reunited with her ex-boyfriend, who's now a multimillionaire, after he personally requests she write a profile of him for the paper. The story focuses on their relationship, interracial dating, and racism in the workplace. I enjoyed reading the story from Genevieve's perspective, and it was a well-written book. But the story focused heavily on the romance and relationship part of the story, and I wanted more of a focus on the racism in the workplace part of the story. The last book that I think I read that dealt with racism in the workplace was Bebe Moore Campbell's Brothers and Sisters, and that was like a really, really good book. So I thought it would have been nice, like in this era, like where we are in 2024, to see what this young author thought about racism in the workplace. I also wanted a fuller picture of Genevieve's life. We really only read about her job and the relationship aspects of what's going on with her, and I wanted to know more about her friends and other things that she had going on. Another thing I didn't particularly care for was that the white characters were so overtly racist. It just made them like really one-dimensional, and people aren't like one thing or the other. There's usually like a lot of gray with people, so it just made the characters like really flat, that they were just like so racist. And also the ending, I was very annoyed with the ending. So in the book, Genevieve makes like a big deal about not wanting to use any of her ex's like family connections or like his influence to get ahead, like to move to another paper or to get a better job. But essentially that's like what kind of ended up happening in the end. I'm trying not to spoil the end for you too much. And then the last thing that I really didn't, it's not that I didn't like it, like I just didn't think like some of the things that happened in the story were believable. Like in this day and age, like instead of dealing with like so many aggressions, micro and macro, like she could have done something else. Like she could have moved to a different paper. She could have been a freelance writer. And I guess her excuse for not leaving the job where she was treated so poorly was that she wouldn't have any more experience to get another job in her field. But I just feel like she could have started, like something else on her own, or gone to like maybe a black owned company or something like that. So overall, I'd give this book a 3 out of 5. Next we have Peril in Pink by Sydney Leigh, or Leigh. I think it's Leigh. Sydney Leigh. And you know I had to get a cozy mystery in here. So this cozy mystery is set in New York at the grand opening of a bed and breakfast in the Hudson Valley. The owner, Jess Byrne, has to help clear her ex-boyfriend, Lars Armstrong, of murder when his stepdad is found dead. Lars is the winner of a reality TV singing competition, and the press coverage from the murder could affect Jess's business reputation. So, I mentioned before that cozy mysteries are my absolute favorite thing to read, and this one just did nothing for me. The bad guy reveal was so anticlimactic, like you could really figure it out before the end, especially if you read enough cozy mysteries, like you knew what was going to happen. The plot twists were predictable. I wasn't really invested in the characters, so I probably would not read the next book in this series. And my overall rating for this one would be a 2 out of 5. The last book I'm going to talk about is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. And first, let me just say this. So I had no idea there was such a thing as romantasy, like a romantasy genre. And I don't like it. I don't like it. So way too much time is spent on if the main characters are going to sleep together or get together, and not enough time is spent on the action and the actual quests that we are trying to resolve. So I've read a few books in this genre before I knew like it was an actual thing. Examples: Daughter of the Moon Goddess, The Hurricane Wars, and the Crescent City series. And all of them annoyed me for the exact same reason. At the library, these are labeled as just fantasy books. So now I read through a few pages to see if there's any like romantic leanings. So yeah, I didn't know that. Romantasy. No idea. None whatsoever. But back to the book. This story is inspired by Norse mythology, and we meet Freya, a woman with a drop of goddess's blood who wants to be a warrior. The ruler of the area where she lives learns of her secret and marries her so that he can rule the whole nation. She must learn to fight, control her magic, and go through various trials while resisting her attraction to the ruler's son, who also has a drop of God's blood. Things I like. So I love mythology and like books like based on mythology, like Greek mythology, pretty much any kind. And I do love fantasy. I like fantasy too. The book is also full of action and moves pretty swiftly. And I like the world and the myth that the author is building. And I would like to see where the story goes. But the things I didn't like, so there is entirely too much time spent on if Freya and the ruler's son is going to get together. Like, they have so many other things to be worried about, like on this quest, like it's like literally life or death, and they're worried about if they're going to jump each other's bones. Another annoying thing, so I didn't pull out any quotes, but the characters, they use language or phrases that are like from this time, so it's just like annoying because it's like they wouldn't talk like that, and you know they wouldn't talk like that. Like, this is like Vikings era, like they're not using like curse words from this time. Like, I don't know. It's just me. It's a little thing, but it annoyed me. There are some predictable plot twists in this story. Like, you can see them coming from a mile away. It doesn't ruin the story, but I guess you would say it's like a trope that's always been used in these kind of stories. Overall, I would give this a 3.5 out of 5. Like, I like this better than I like the only black girl in the room, and I would probably attempt to read the next book in the series, but I don't know, like that Romantasy thing is like so annoying. I don't know if I even want to brave it. That's the end of this video. If you've read any of these books, please let me know what you think in the comments. And thanks for watching.